The vast expanse of the Zyran war chamber glimmered with cold efficiency. Towering pillars of obsidian reflected the eerie green glow of the command screens, where projections of distant galaxies flickered in mesmerizing patterns. General Vorthak, clad in armor forged from the densest alloys of Grathax, stood at the center of the room. His gaze, piercing and unyielding, scanned the assembly of commanders before him. Each Zyran soldier stood rigid, their exoskeletons glinting under the pale light, a testament to their disciplined and fearsome nature. The humans, Vorthak began, his voice resonating with a calculated menace, are a peculiar species, primitive, fragile, yet they have resisted. Why? A murmur rippled through the room. The Zyrans, a race bred for conquest, had subdued countless civilizations across the galaxy. Humanity was supposed to be no different. Vorthak raised a clawed hand, silencing the whispers. They cling to hope. They mask their fear with defiance. They misunderstand the inevitability of their annihilation. He gestured to a projection of Earth, its blue and green surface spinning in serene contrast to the chaos it had endured. This world, so full of contradictions, will kneel before us. But first, his lip curled into what could only be described as a cruel smile. We will challenge their pride. The assembled commanders nodded in agreement, their confidence unshaken. Zyran dominance was absolute. The idea of humanity posing any real threat was almost amusing. Soon, a message was transmitted across the stars, its tone laced with contempt. Humans, it began, you who tremble at the thought of war, we offer you this. A single battle. Choose your champions, muster your strength, and face us. Prove your worth, or surrender and accept your place as subjects of the Zyran Empire. On Earth, the message was met with a silence that spread across continents. In bustling cities and quiet villages, people paused, their eyes fixed on screens displaying the alien broadcast. The sheer arrogance of the ultimatum sparked a mix of fear and anger. Conversations erupted everywhere. Some pleaded for surrender to avoid certain doom, while others argued for resistance, no matter the odds. In a secure military bunker deep beneath the surface, humanity's leaders gathered. The Unified Human Defense Force, a coalition of the planet's most brilliant minds and seasoned tacticians, debated their response. The room was tense, filled with maps, data projections, and the weight of countless lives. General Marcus Hartman, a stoic figure with decades of combat experience etched into his face, broke the silence. They underestimate us. They think us weak, disorganized. We have one chance to prove them wrong. Across the room, opinions clashed. Some advocated for deploying Earth's combined fleets, while others argued for surrender to preserve what little remained of humanity's infrastructure. The debate grew heated until a voice cut through the noise. We send one. All heads turned toward the source of the suggestion. Dr. Eleanor Hayes, a strategist renowned for her unconventional ideas, stepped forward. The Zyrans mock us. They expect us to overreach, to play into their hands. But if we send one soldier, a symbol of our ingenuity and resolve, we change the narrative. The room fell into a stunned silence. The notion seemed absurd, reckless even. But as Hayes outlined her plan, the logic became clear. One operative, armed with humanity's most advanced technology and tactics, could infiltrate and dismantle the Zyran forces from within. Do we have such a soldier? A skeptical voice asked. Dr. Hayes hesitated, then nodded. We do. But they're more than a soldier. They're a ghost, a weapon, a force that has no equal. The room erupted once more, this time with a mix of skepticism and cautious hope. General Hartman raised his hand to quiet the crowd. Bring them in. The doors slid open with a hiss, and the figure who entered seemed to carry the weight of 1,000 battles. Clad in unassuming fatigues, they moved with a quiet confidence, their presence commanding attention without effort. Their face was obscured by the shadow of the room, but their reputation preceded them. Codename Phantom, Hartman said, gesturing toward the figure. They've operated in environments most of us wouldn't survive for minutes. They've taken down entire insurgent networks alone. If anyone can pull this off, it's them. Phantom stepped forward, their voice calm, devoid of hesitation. Brief me. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Scientists and engineers presented cutting-edge weaponry and experimental technologies, each tailored to enhance Phantom's already formidable skill set. Advanced cloaking devices, adaptive exosuits, and neural link targeting systems were just the beginning. As the preparations continued, Phantom remained silent, absorbing every detail with an intensity that left no room for doubt. While others marveled at the technology, Phantom focused on the mission, the stakes, and the countless lives depending on its success. In the quiet moments before departure, Phantom stood alone, gazing at a holographic projection of Earth. Memories flickered, of battles fought, comrades lost, and the unyielding spirit of humanity. A technician approached cautiously. "Everything's ready," they said. Phantom turned, their expression unreadable. "Then let's remind them why humans fear nothing." As the lone human vessel prepared to depart, the world watched in a collective breathless silence. Billions of eyes followed its trajectory as it vanished into the void, carrying with it humanity's hope and its defiance. Far away on the Zyran command ship, General Vorthak leaned back in his throne, a smug grin on his face. "One soldier," he muttered, shaking his head. "How quaint." But deep within the darkness of space, Phantom prepared. Not for survival, but for victory. The Zyran warship loomed ahead, an immense structure bristling with weaponry and exuding an air of invincibility. Its surface shimmered with an energy shield that had repelled entire fleets, but Phantom's approach was undetected. Encased in the adaptive exosuit, they moved with precision, their small, camouflaged craft blending seamlessly into the void. The onboard AI, integrated directly into Phantom's neural link, whispered updates. Shield modulation detected. Small entry point at Sector 17B. Timing window. 8 seconds. Phantom's reply was a mere thought. Understood. The craft adjusted course. A silent predator in the vastness of space. As the timing window approached, Phantom triggered the cloaking device and engaged the infiltration protocol. The craft slipped through the shield in perfect synchronization, landing with a soundless thud against the warship's hull. They exited swiftly, magnetic clamps in the suit's boots securing their footing on the exterior. With practiced efficiency, Phantom located a maintenance hatch. The tools integrated into their suit made short work of the access panel. Inside, the warship's corridors stretched out in a maze of sleek metal and pulsating energy conduits. Zyran engineers, confident in their security measures, had left no guards in these maintenance shafts. That overconfidence was their first mistake. Phantom moved like a shadow, silent and deliberate. The exosuit sensors mapped the ship's layout in real time, highlighting critical systems and potential threats. The objective was clear: disrupt, dismantle, and destroy. The first target was the ship's communication hub. The Zyrans relied on a centralized network for coordination, a vulnerability that Phantom intended to exploit. Reaching the hub undetected required navigating through sections of the ship teeming with activity. Zyran soldiers moved with disciplined purpose, their biomechanical armor amplifying their already formidable physiques. Phantom observed them from a concealed position, noting their patrol patterns and blind spots. With a calculated burst of movement, they bypassed the guards, their cloaking device rendering them nearly invisible. Reaching the communication hub, Phantom deployed a specialized virus into the central console. The AI provided updates in real time. Data corruption at 45%. Network disruption imminent. As the virus spread, Zyran officers began to notice anomalies. Lights flickered, and tactical readouts displayed gibberish. The command center buzzed with activity as technicians scrambled to identify the cause. Phantom moved on to the next target, the power core. The virus was a diversion, buying them time to reach the heart of the warship. The power core was heavily guarded, with automated turrets and a squadron of elite Zyran soldiers stationed nearby. Phantom analyzed the defenses, formulating a plan. A silent takedown of the guards was impossible. They were too well positioned. Instead, Phantom used the suit's EMP pulse, a short-range device that disabled electronics within a limited radius. The pulse temporarily deactivated the turrets, and in the ensuing confusion, Phantom engaged the soldiers. The fight was brutal and efficient. Phantom's exosuit enhanced their reflexes and strength, allowing them to match the Zyrans in close combat. Using a combination of martial techniques and advanced weaponry, Phantom neutralized the squad with precision. Reaching the power core, Phantom prepared the explosives. The core's destruction would cripple the ship, leaving it vulnerable to further attacks. As they worked, the AI issued a warning. Enemy reinforcements approaching. Estimated arrival: 3 minutes. Phantom increased their pace, setting the charges and sinking them to a remote detonator. With the explosives in place, they began their exfiltration. The corridors were no longer empty. The Zyrans, alerted by the disturbances, had deployed search teams. Phantom avoided direct confrontations whenever possible, using the ship's layout to their advantage. When engagement was unavoidable, they struck with calculated lethality, leaving no witnesses. As the countdown to detonation neared its final seconds, Phantom reached the outer hull. The exfiltration craft, still cloaked, awaited their signal. They launched themselves into the void, the suit's thrusters propelling them toward the craft. The warship erupted behind them, a chain reaction of explosions tearing through its structure. Secondary blasts rippled outward as energy conduits overloaded, and the once mighty vessel was reduced to a flaming wreck. Phantom's craft sped away, cloaked and undetected. The Zyrans, reeling from the loss of one of their flagship warships, scrambled to make sense of what had happened. Back on Earth, the mission's success was relayed through secure channels. The unified human defense force erupted in a mixture of relief and cautious optimism. Humanity had struck back, proving that their spirit and ingenuity were forces to be reckoned with. In the aftermath, Phantom prepared for the next phase. The Zyrans would not take this defeat lightly, and retaliation was inevitable. But for now, humanity had shown that they were not afraid of war, and that even a single soldier could change the course of history. The Zyran fleet responded to the destruction of their flagship with ruthless efficiency. Waves of reconnaissance ships spread out, searching for answers. Their networks were in disarray, corrupted by the virus Phantom had planted, but their determination to retaliate remained undeterred. The humans, they concluded, had overstepped. They underestimated the humans' will to fight, and now they sought to correct that mistake. Deep within a hidden command bunker on Earth, Phantom and a select group of strategists analyzed the Zyran movements. The Zyrans were regrouping, their tactics aggressive but predictable. They had shifted to a reactionary stance, tightening their perimeter around key vessels and launching patrols to locate potential human bases. It was clear they sought to reassert dominance through fear and overwhelming firepower. The strategists discussed potential responses, but Phantom remained silent, observing the data. They knew the Zyrans' mindset well, discipline bred rigidity, and their strength was also their greatest weakness. The Zyrans would expect a defensive stance from humanity, a consolidation of forces in the face of overwhelming odds. They would not anticipate a counterstrike so soon after their loss. The next target was identified, a Zyran logistics hub located on a barren moon in a distant system. This hub coordinated resource distribution across their fleet, making it a critical node in their operations. Disrupting it would cripple their supply chains, forcing them into further disarray. The mission required precision and speed. There would be no time for elaborate planning or reinforcement. It had to be executed flawlessly. Phantom prepared for deployment. The exosuit was upgraded with additional capabilities, including enhanced hacking tools and stealth modules. Each modification was designed to counter the challenges of the new mission. The team supporting Phantom worked tirelessly, ensuring every detail was accounted for. The insertion point was a narrow canyon near the hub, its jagged terrain providing natural cover. Phantom's craft landed undetected, and they moved swiftly toward the target. The hub's defenses were formidable layers of automated turrets, patrolling guards, and sensor arrays designed to detect the faintest disturbance. Phantom utilized the environment to their advantage, navigating the treacherous terrain with ease. The exosuits' camouflage adapted to the shifting light, rendering them nearly invisible. As they approached the perimeter, the AI provided a detailed analysis of the defenses. The turrets operated on a rotational schedule, leaving brief gaps in coverage. The guards moved in predictable patterns, and the sensors had a blind spot on the western edge. Phantom exploited these vulnerabilities, infiltrating the hub without raising an alarm. Inside, the facility was a hive of activity. Zyran workers moved with mechanical precision, unaware of the intruder among them. Phantom's objective was clear: disable the hub's central control unit and plant charges to ensure its destruction. The central control unit was located in the heart of the facility, surrounded by heavily guarded corridors. Phantom avoided direct confrontation, using the suit's advanced systems to bypass security measures. They hacked into a terminal, creating a diversion that drew guards away from their posts. Reaching the control unit, Phantom deployed a specialized device to disable the system. The AI provided updates as the device worked. Progress at 25%. Estimated completion: 4 minutes. Those 4 minutes felt like an eternity. The Zyrans quickly realized something was amiss, and alarms blared throughout the facility. Phantom remained focused, positioning themselves defensively as the device completed its task. As the control unit went offline, the facility descended into chaos. Supply routes were severed, and communication channels were filled with desperate reports. Phantom set the charges, ensuring the facility's destruction would be complete. The exfiltration was a race against time. The Zyrans, now fully aware of the intrusion, mobilized their forces. Phantom moved with unparalleled efficiency, outmaneuvering their pursuers and avoiding capture. The charges detonated as they reached their extraction point, a massive explosion ripping through the facility. The shockwave echoed across the barren moon, a stark reminder of humanity's resolve. Phantom returned to Earth, their mission a resounding success. The Zyran supply chains were in shambles, and their fleet was forced to regroup once again. The human command center buzzed with renewed confidence, the realization sinking in that they were no longer merely surviving, they were fighting back. Phantom, however, knew the war was far from over. The Zyrans would adapt, learning from their mistakes and growing more dangerous with each encounter. But humanity had proven their strength, and Phantom would continue to carry the weight of that fight. They were more than a soldier. They were a symbol of defiance, a reminder that humanity, even in its darkest hour, could rise to meet any challenge. The Zyran High Command convened in a massive chamber aboard their newly designated flagship, their voices echoing with frustration and anger. The humans had struck again, this time dismantling a vital logistics hub. The loss was catastrophic, and their fleet's efficiency had been halved. Their intricate strategies, honed over centuries, had been outmaneuvered not by an army, but by a single human. The concept was unthinkable to the Zyran collective mindset. They thrived on overwhelming force and calculated dominance. The idea that one being could disrupt their operations was a direct affront to their ideology. The Zyran general, a towering figure clad in ornate armor, addressed the assembly with unrestrained fury. They declared that the human who dared to challenge them would be captured alive and paraded as an example of Zyran superiority. They allocated vast resources to this effort, diverting ships and soldiers to hunt the elusive Phantom. Meanwhile, on Earth, Phantom was preparing for what might be their most critical mission yet. The Zyran's obsession with them had created a unique opportunity. Intelligence reports indicated that the Zyrans were consolidating their forces around a central command station in a heavily fortified system. This station acted as the nerve center for their entire fleet, coordinating movements, communications, and resource allocation. Destroying it would effectively paralyze the Zyran war machine, giving humanity the breathing room they desperately needed. Phantom reviewed the mission parameters with an unflinching resolve. The station was protected by a fleet of warships, orbital defense platforms, and an impenetrable energy shield. Penetrating such defenses seemed impossible, but Phantom thrived on impossible odds. The plan hinged on a calculated gamble. A diversionary attack by a small human fleet would draw the Zyran's attention, creating a narrow window for Phantom to infiltrate the station. As the human fleet engaged the Zyrans in a distant sector, Phantom's craft slipped through the chaos, weaving between debris and enemy fire. The energy shield was the first obstacle, its frequency modulations designed to repel any unauthorized entry. Phantom's AI companion, utilizing data from previous missions, devised a countermeasure that allowed the craft to pass through undetected. Inside the station, Phantom moved with the precision of a predator. The corridors were labyrinthine, guarded by elite Zyran soldiers and advanced drones. Every step was a calculated risk, every corner a potential ambush. The Zyrans were on high alert, aware of the human threat, but unable to pinpoint their location. Phantom used this to their advantage, exploiting their confusion to advance toward the command center. The command center was a sprawling chamber filled with holographic displays and Zyran officers coordinating the fleet. Phantom observed from the shadows, identifying the key systems that needed to be neutralized. The AI provided a detailed analysis, highlighting vulnerabilities in the station's infrastructure. Phantom acted swiftly, deploying devices that disrupted the station's communications and targeting systems. The Zyran officers reacted with panic, their attempts to restore control thwarted by Phantom's relentless assault. The station's automated defenses turned against their own, further adding to the chaos. The Zyrans, desperate to regain control, unleashed their elite guard to hunt Phantom. The ensuing battle was fierce, a test of skill and resolve. Phantom's exosuit, though advanced, was pushed to its limits. Each encounter was a brutal clash of strength and strategy, with Phantom narrowly escaping death multiple times. As the station's systems collapsed, Phantom planted charges on its primary reactor. The countdown began, and the Zyrans realized the full extent of the threat they faced. Their efforts to stop Phantom became frantic, but it was too late. Phantom had already secured an escape route, navigating the crumbling station with unyielding determination. The explosion was visible even from the distant human fleet, a blinding light that marked the end of the Zyran command station. The ripple effects were immediate. The Zyran fleet, now leaderless and disorganized, faltered. Their cohesion shattered, and their ships scattered in a desperate attempt to regroup. Phantom returned to Earth, greeted by a mixture of awe and relief. The mission had been a success, but the cost was evident. Humanity had won a significant victory, but the war was far from over. The Zyrans were wounded, but not defeated. They would adapt as they always had, and the fight would continue. Phantom stood alone, gazing at the stars. They knew the path ahead would be even more challenging. The Zyrans would stop at nothing to eliminate the threat humanity posed, and Phantom would remain at the center of that conflict. But for now, they allowed themselves a moment of quiet reflection, a brief acknowledgement of the sacrifices made and the lives saved. The message was clear: humanity would not be broken. They would rise, fight, and endure no matter the odds. Phantom was not just a soldier. They were a symbol of hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming darkness, a single light could shine brightly enough to guide the way forward.